So when you think about artificial intelligence, the big names always come to mind. Google, Microsoft, OpenAI. It's totally natural. But there's this other company, Palantir, that keeps showing up, especially in really serious places like defense and heavy industry. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this, pretty secretive company and figure out what its deal really is in the world of AI, and if it's actually built to last.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter, right? This is the big question. Palantir has carved out this really powerful, specific niche for itself, but let's be honest, it's swimming in a sea of absolute sharks. So does it have a true defensible advantage, or is it just a matter of time before the big tech players decide to make it, irrelevant? Let's dig in.
Okay, first things first. We have to get past all the hype and the mystery surrounding this company. What does Palantir actually do? It's a question that, trips up a lot of people, so let's break it down into its two main parts.
You can think of Palantir as having two faces. On one hand, you have Gotham. This is where it all started. It's their powerhouse platform for the government. We're talking national security, counterterrorism, military intelligence, the really heavy-duty stuff. But then, they took that same core concept and built Foundry, which is designed for the commercial world to tackle huge industries like manufacturing, finance, and healthcare.
But here's the key thing to understand. Palantir isn't just selling another AI model like a ChatGPT. No, what they provide is something you could call a decision intelligence engine. Their real specialty is taking just mountains of messy, scattered data from all over an organization, pulling it all together, and turning it into a tool that helps actual humans make better, faster decisions. So the goal isn't just to show you a bunch of data, it's to help you act on it. It's all about making smarter decisions.
So, how in the world does a company like this defend itself from the titans of tech? Well, this brings us to the bull case. The argument for why Palantir has a really strong competitive advantage, or what investors like to call a moat, protecting its business.
So what does this moat actually look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's really four interlocking advantages. First, their incredible knack for taming messy data. Second, the way they make that data accessible to literally anyone in a company. Third, how deeply they partner with their clients. And finally, a reputation for security that is frankly unmatched. Let's break those down one by one.
Okay, so here's what you really have to get about Palantir's superpower. Big companies are messy. Their data is a mess, it's stuck in old legacy systems, it's in new cloud platforms, it's coming from sensors on a factory floor, it's even in spreadsheets. Palantir's genius is connecting all these disconnected or siloed data sets and making them actually talk to each other. This is incredibly hard to do, and it is absolutely where they shine.
And that leads right into their second huge advantage. See, most data platforms are built for data scientists, people who live and breathe code. But Foundry is designed for the factory manager or the supply chain operator or the business exec. The people with deep operational knowledge, but who don't necessarily know how to code. This just dramatically expands who can use it and how valuable it is inside a company.
So when you put all these pieces together, the bull case becomes pretty clear. They dominate a niche market that trusts them completely. That deep trust leads to deep integration with their client systems, which makes the cost of switching to a competitor, it's astronomically high. And on top of all that, they're riding these massive tailwinds of AI and digital transformation that every company is chasing right now.
But, of course, it's not all sunshine and roses. Every fortress has potential cracks, and it is absolutely crucial to understand the risks here. So, let's flip the coin and look at the bear case, the arguments against Palantir.
And right here, this is the core of the bear case. Palantir doesn't work like your typical software-as-a-service company. Think about a normal SaaS product. It's like buying a t-shirt off the rack. It's standardized, it's low-touch, one size fits many, and it scales super fast. Palantir, on the other hand, is like getting a bespoke, custom-tailored suit. It requires a ton of customization, and they even put their own engineers on-site with clients. This high-touch model is incredibly powerful, but it's also a lot slower and way harder to scale up.
So this business model leads to a few major risks you have to consider. First, the big one, scalability. Can a high-touch model like this ever really grow fast enough to satisfy Wall Street? Second, you can never, ever ignore the giants. What happens if Google or Microsoft decides to get serious about competing in this space? And finally, all of this uncertainty leads to a stock that can be incredibly volatile, often swinging wildly on hype instead of just fundamentals.
Okay, so we've laid out the bull case, we've laid out the bear case, so what's the final takeaway? For someone trying to understand this company's future, how do we put these two totally opposite views together?
Let's start by just managing expectations here. The most realistic conclusion is that Palantir is not on a path to become the next Google or the next Microsoft. It's just not. Its model isn't built for that kind of broad, horizontal dominance. Its real strength lies somewhere else entirely.
Instead, it's much better to think of Palantir as a highly specialized leader. It has built this fortress of trust, especially within government and other highly regulated industries where data security is everything. And once they're in, the client is basically locked in. That creates a very, very sticky, long-term business.
So, after weighing the pros and the cons, the bull and the bear case, what is the final verdict? How should someone really be thinking about this company?
The sources suggest it's not a simple yes or no. The decision really comes down to how much you believe in a few key, powerful trends. If you're convinced that defense-grade security, industrial AI, and the digital transformation of huge, old-school industries are unstoppable forces, then Palantir is a company that absolutely deserves a very serious look.
And that leaves us with one last big-picture thought to chew on. As AI reshapes pretty much every industry on the planet, the battle isn't just about who has the smartest algorithm. It might just come down to this. In the most critical, most sensitive parts of our world, who do you trust more? The biggest, most powerful giant, or the deeply embedded, highly trusted specialist? The answer to that question is probably going to determine Palantir's future.